welcome everybody. Championship weekend is behind us, but there is so much news to talk about. Bombshells galore. And we are here to break it down. Will, Peter, how are we doing today?
Yeah, man. No, it's we're almost like swamped with information, not just on the field but off the field. There's some interesting things happening. It's going to be an interesting Super Bowl sort of build up these next 2 weeks. So yeah, no, can't wait to get into it.
Yeah, very interesting week. That's the beauty of the NFL. And a week never goes by without you think it's going to be a quiet week, and there's always going to be something to talk about.
But before we talk about championship weekend and how the games went, Brian Flores has started proceedings behind a class action lawsuit in which he's alleging racist practices within the NFL. Named within the lawsuit are the Miami Dolphins, New York Giants, Denver Broncos, and the NFL themselves. And mentioned in passing are all the other NFL teams, because as a class action lawsuit, you can have potentially other things come to light, so other people can put their 2 cents in, and then that becomes part of the lawsuit as well. So that was a ridiculous bombshell, Peter. Will, thoughts on
Absolutely
it so far?
huge.
Because so with regards to Miami, the allegations are less. Allegations were the owner offered $100,000 per game lost during the 2019 season. That's
Staggering.
allegation number one.
Inexcusable, really.
Now, if true,
Yeah,
this like the conversations that I've had with guys in America, this could be similar to in Major League Baseball, where in 1988, I think in the 1980s, the all-time hits leader was found to be betting on the games that he was playing in. And he's the all-time hits leader, and he's not in the Hall of Fame. Because he was banned from the sport for life, I think.
Which one was this? Was this the other guy? Because I know there's two guys that baseball don't put in their Hall of Fame.
So this is...
as in they got stripped out, as in they got ripped from the hall.
No.
or denied?
He was playing at the time.
Yeah,
I mean, I know Barry
find
Bonds
the
is one. I know
name.
Barry Bonds is more about the steroid usage that he used later on in his career.
No,
But-
yeah, it's not about Barry Bonds. I'm trying to find the exact... Pete Rose.
Yeah, that's the other guy.
Now, discussions on so many different shows have said that the connotations for this could be extremely high, because fixing the outcome of a game, or are you trying to get the outcome of a game fixed, is potentially a felony-worthy offence. So, if proven correct, that owner could also be stripped of his ownership. He could be forced to sell
yeah.
the team. Just like in the
absolutely.
NBA with the Clippers.
yeah. No, that was also sort of racial tensions down there too. And yes, Sterling, I believe, last name Sterling, was forced to sell the team. He was vetoed out.
So the Jerry Richardson for the Panthers.
Yep. So this could be huge. And I think what Flores has done is he's kind of like pulled away the veil, and he's got a lot of people to ask a lot of questions, ask the right questions. I think it was long overdue. It's unfortunate that it's a person as talented as Flores is the one
He's
that's
only
sort of
40 years
being,
old as well.
yeah,
So
exactly. He's
he's
almost
got
being the martyr here in that he's sacrificing himself. I don't think there's any doubt in his ability to coach. It's not like the Colin Kaepernick thing where there's some people that say, well, he can't perform his job. Everyone knows he's an amazing coach and he does belong, he does deserve, and he
well,
can pull off a head coaching job in the
people
league.
were saying that he was the most capable head coach candidate of them all out there.
Yep.
Now,
He was.
that isn't the only allegation for the Dolphins. The other allegation is with regards to a prominent quarterback and alleged tapping up or attempts to tap up. Now, the quarterback is not named, but it circles around this instance of where he was invited to the yacht in Miami, and Flores saw that the quarterback was there, who's not on the team, and immediately as he saw it, he said, "I am not partaking in this." And this is where the allegation of he was fired for effectively non-compliance, for not corroborating, not being part of this kind of behaviour. This is what he's alleged. So from that point of view, because of him not allegedly partaking in illicit behaviour, he's been fired. That is what he is alleging with regards to the Dolphins. With regards to the New York Giants, it's the fun of Bill Belichick. The text exchange between Bill Belichick and Brian Flores, and this is where Brian.
Well, he thought it was Brian Dable.
Yeah, he thought it was Brian Dable, but to read the exchange for people that have not seen it, Bill Belichick says, "Sounds like you have landed. Congrats." And Flores goes, "Did you hear something that I didn't hear?" Giants? Question mark from Bill. I interview on Thursday. I think I have a shot at it. Got it. I hear from Buffalo and New York Giants that you are their guy. I hope it works out. If you want it to. That's definitely what I want. I hope you're right, Coach. Thank you. Coach, are you talking to Brian Flores or Brian Dable? Just making sure. Sorry, I effed this up. I double checked and I misread the text. I think they're naming Dable. I'm sorry about that. BB. Thanks, Bill. And that was the catalyst. Yep. That was the catalyst for Flores to effectively, because he's been humiliated there.
No, absolutely. Like, I think the way they were going in, it was a sham interview. Like, they had no intention of giving him the role. The role was already decided before he even stepped into the building. So, you know, I think Bill Belichick here, obviously, he's not really directly involved, but it's really interesting that someone on another team would already know, because this was out before it was public information. You know, Bill Belichick already knew who the head coaching was. So, I mean, people in that circle inside the league, they talk, you know, they obviously know. And obviously Flores was able to sort of get an early jump on this. And I think it's really helped push his case, because this shouldn't be happening.
Damning.
It should not be happening at all. I mean, it's already hard when you're sort of, if you're looking at the diversity issues in coaching in the NFL, you know, but situations like this where, you know, like, it's just when you're a black coach working your way up through the ranks, it's almost as though you not only have to be good at your role, but you have to exceed expectations. And then when you look from left to right, sometimes it seems as though you're being set up to fail. You know, I think just today, I think Hugh Jackson, the former Cleveland Browns head coach, he's come out as well and said that he's been asked to lose games and receive some kind of
so he's alleging that. He is alleging that as well.
Yeah, he's alleging that as well. And it's really interesting, because I look at it like this, all right? When you lose games as a head coach, you end up with horrible records. That leads to you losing your job. Okay? So regardless of what happens, all the fans see is you losing games, which gets you out of the job. So there's this whole complex thing going on. Is this a setup? And how many times has this happened to, like, I don't know, white coaches? You know, are they being asked to lose games? Because from what we've seen so far, like, I think Stephen A. Smith, he said he wants to see white coaches come out and say, has this happened to them as well? Because it seems like a setup
But
right
they're
now.
not gonna do it.
They're not going to
They're
do
not
it,
gonna
but
do
there
it.
has to be someone.
It appears
You know?
that any coach who realistically thinks that they have a chance of coaching within the league again will not be joining this class action lawsuit. That's my cynical opinion. Because as
No,
soon
it's not a
as
cynical opinion. It's actually the facts.
and because
We know what these
they're
owners are.
because the way that they're going to act is that these guys will be blackballed, or as Shannon Sharp
Absolutely,
calls it,
straight away.
Josh
The
McDaniels
thing
ain't
is, like,
blackballed.
no, but the thing is that here's the thing. Brian Flores knows by initiating this class action lawsuit against the NFL, he's hoping to take the fall for a significant change. I applaud him
Correct.
for it. He's doing something that's very courageous, something that we've never seen on the coaching level in the NFL. The last time we saw a black player take on the NFL was Gene Upshaw and a group of the players back in, I don't remember what year it was when they fought the NFL for free agency and they essentially won that suit.
Was
And they
that
enabled,
or was that baseball? Or was
it was
that when they?
baseball, but then
Yeah,
each league had to fight for their own free agency. It
yeah,
didn't trickle
correct,
down to all the
correct.
other
Yeah,
sports.
so this was what was
Essentially,
mentioned on Skip and Shannon.
yeah,
So
they talked about the baseball guys first initiated
yeah,
it, and then that showed the way that other people can do it. But what I'm saying is
correct.
the way Gene Upshaw did it with the NFL was the first time a black player essentially went against the league in this, and he was fighting for everything that affected all players. But this is much bigger in terms of what Brian Flores is trying to achieve with the league, and I get that. And I know he knows he's risking his career here, in terms of his coaching career in fighting this class action lawsuit. Now, the thing is, if Flores was filing this suit, and let's say, for instance, there was a minority owner or quote unquote a black owner that owned one of these teams, they'll probably give Flores the backing, and his coaching career might not be in jeopardy. This is speaking hypotheticals, by the way. But
Well, we know that
at the
the
end,
NFL doesn't have a single minority owner. Full stop.
well,
No,
You
no,
count
a black
Khan.
owner doesn't
If
have a
you
single
count
black
black
owner.
Khan,
owner, yeah,
Khan
they
and
don't
the
have.
Bears as well, they've got a female owner. Well,
I
the
mean,
head
I
of
mean,
the
the thing
family,
is,
I'd say.
Ethnic minority.
Yeah, ethnic
I mean,
minority.
I kind of put females on equal footing. I wouldn't really class a female owner as a minority. If like Steph Benson with the Saints, in my opinion,
Yeah.
I think if you're a female and you own a team, I wouldn't put you in the minority owner. It depends on the ethnic. That's where I personally would class it as. But
Now,
back to Flores. What I
uh-huh.
was gonna say is that he's risking his coaching career, doing all of this, and he might never coach in the NFL again. And I think he absolutely knew that that's the potential that might happen.
But that's
The
when people
Texans,
of principle think that they think above their own personal gain. Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, that's true. But here's the thing: at the end of the day, he's shedding the light and he's going ahead with his class action suit. I'm just, I hope to God, and I'm just praying that he has strong evidence to back out most of his claims, especially the match fixing one, the one whereby the Dolphins owner asked him to lose games. The thing is, within the NFL circles, we all know a lot of teams tend to tank for the first draft pick. I mean, yes, it's not an accusation out there, but I do. Coaches know when they have been told to tank games. We all know when it happens. Like the roster is really bad and they keep losing games. But Flores is different. Flores didn't sign up to lose games, and that's what makes him a principled man. But what I'm saying is that we all know that we don't know of the term tanking. It happens across league circles.
Mm-hmm.
It will not be speaking publicly. I'm sure I'm sure owners have asked head coaches in the past to lose games to make sure they get a top draft pick. I'm sure it's happened, but nobody's gonna come out and say it like Brian Flores is putting it out there, you know. And and in a sense, that's why I'm saying that he's put himself
Now,
out there. He might not get a job. The Texans have said that they've made him a finalist, which is not much of anything.
That doesn't mean
What would be
anything.
interesting is that the remaining head coaching positions, like the Saints and the Texans, would they be brave enough so as to offer him a job? And I know by now the owners have already had like a teleconference behind closed doors, and it's decided that he's not getting a head coaching job, because if you decide to be that owner that will stick your neck out there and offer Brian Flores a job, I'm happy to imagine that the other owners are not gonna
Here's
look at you
here's how I
favorably,
look
would
at it. Like, here's how I look at it. Like, a lot of those owners are billionaires. Okay, they are very egotistical. They each think they're the smartest person in the room and that they're better than the other person. So even though the smart money would be that they're gonna have that talk, I don't think sort of the Washington Commanders owner is gonna have a chat.
that is the thing
with
that I have
Jeffrey Lurie.
forgot to.
Yeah, we'll go over that as well. But I don't think the Washington Commanders owner is going to have a meeting with Jeffrey Lurie. And, well, don't get me wrong, they'll talk business, but they're not all going to say, you know what, I hate what he's done because he's thrown us all under the bus. We're not going to bring him in. No, I expect guys like Robert Kraft. I know they don't have a head coaching position available, but I expect guys like him to sort of be like, well, you guys are different.
To be blatantly honest, I think Kraft would, if there was a position within his organization, he would hire Flores back. He does not care what the rest of the owners think.
No, but here's the thing, though. Yes, I get what you guys say. I get the points you guys have made. He will hire Flores back, but the thing is, will Flores still has filed this suit if he had been given a head coaching job by now? That is a legitimate question that you can ask. Would he still have gone ahead and fired the suit if let's say he lost the Miami job, right? And in the head coaching circle, the jobs that have already been filled, one of them had already been offered to Florida. He had taken, like, the best. If the best had hired Flores by now, will he have fired the lawsuit?
I think if the instance of the Giants had not happened, if this whole scenario had not happened, this would not be happening.
Yeah.
It is called a tipping point. It is a tipping point to push you over the edge to say, no, something must be done about this. Enough is enough.
Exactly. I get it. So here's the thing. So it goes back to the point you made about Kraft. So the thing is that Kraft would have offered him the job if a head coach position was available before he even went ahead and did his lawsuit. Now, the question, what I call it the question is,
would you
he
do
filed
it now?
this lawsuit. Let's say New England don't have a head coaching position. Will Kraft hire him then after he's filed the lawsuit? Because here's the thing that we're missing here. The lawsuit is he's suing the NFL, New York Giants, Denver Broncos, but at the end of the day, he's suing the 32 owners. He's suing the NFL. In a sense, all of you 32 owners are involved in this. You can't be Jeffrey Lurie and say that he's not suing me. It has nothing to do with the Eagles organization. No, you're part of the NFL. It affects you too.
Because the NFL is a closed shop of 32 teams.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so essentially, every owner is a part of this class action lawsuit, and every owner can be called as a witness to come in and be questioned under this class action lawsuit. So that's why I'm saying at the end of the day, he's suing the whole NFL. Now, what I'm saying is that if a team can be brave out there and hire him during this circle and still support him to file his lawsuit, that would be a huge statement. But at the end of the day, he has to have some pretty strong evidence for this to be a landmark, and I hope he does. I really hope he has an evidence that would change a lot of things, because I think about it, and it's like when you look over to the NBA, there's great diversity there in their head coaching hiring circles.
Half of the head coaches are black or minority.
Exactly. Sometimes even more than half are black. Sometimes even more than half.
Only one black owner.
Yeah, but the diversity is reflective in their coaches. That is the point that the NFL is now battling to trying to get to, whereby there's real variety in coaches, especially in the coaching.
Yeah, no,
So
I
okay,
think. Yeah, go ahead.
two last points.
Yeah.
So within the lawsuit, a couple of, well, one fact and one allegation. So the fact that is stated is that the average length of a tenure for a black coach is 2.5 years, and for a white coach is 3.5 years. So from a statistical point of view, white coaches are given 1 year extra to prove their worth.
Yeah, no,
Thoughts on
I
that statistic?
I think that's a travesty. Like a lot of the times, it's almost as though they're being set up to fail. Or like if you look at Cullen just gone for the Texans, like he weathered the storm. They won way more games than they were meant to win. They had Davis Webb in there, and he was able to get some things going. You essentially had time to build a team with a quarterback, a young quarterback, playing for free, which is perfect. That's what it means when you have a window of opportunity opening up. And he steered the ship there. And instead, they reward him like, oh, we're looking to go in a different direction. You know, he did everything. In fact, he exceeded expectations considering everything else. Now he's not going to get a chance again, considering his age. But he spent decades of his life building up to this point, and he gets 1 year and he's thrown out the door. You know, if you look at all these coaching trees, and shout out to Bruce Arians, I believe he has a all black coaching staff, positional.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's going to take things like that, because what's going to happen is at some point, if all of the coaches behind the head coach are different ethnicities, not just black, but Hispanic, Oriental, Muslim, once that happens, what's the NFL going to do? What are these owners going to do? Are they going to go to high school? Because I'm seeing Josh McDaniels, Josh McCown, who's a high school coach, and he's a favorite. Like, people actually talk about he can actually land a job. And you've got guys like D'Amico Ryans, who is the offensive coordinator for the 49ers. He was asked to go to the Minnesota Vikings for an interview, and he turned that down. You know why? Because he heard Jim Harbaugh. Is it? Yeah. Jim Harbaugh was heading down to town. And as soon as he saw that, he knew, okay, this is just a checkbox in the sort of diversity list. They have no intention.
And then Harbaugh's Harbaugh's
gone back to Michigan.
He's gone back, but I don't blame D'Amico Ryans for being like, why would I catch a flight from San Fran to Minnesota for a diversity interview? I'm not going to.
He already interviewed. It was the second one.
Yeah, but
it was
as soon as he saw Harbaugh was in the mix, he was like,
he would have done a telephone interview. He would have done a Zoom interview, and then the second stage would be the face-to-face.
Yeah, but that needs to happen. So I think it's actually got to come from the head coaches of the teams. Perhaps you need to diversify your positional groups, because what happens is they eventually filter forward. Now, if we end up with like a large swathe of coaches from all kinds of backgrounds, if the league then continues to say, all right, we're going to hire college guys now, we're going to hire high school guys now, oh, you have to have head coach experience now, which means they're not going to get a shot, then we know something is 100% wrong, and something is wrong. But like, every time you move the goalposts, the owners will find a way to flip it and look for different things. Oh, you would have had to play in the league for 10 years, small things like that. So it's just damning. And I hope Flores' actions bring about actual change.
I think you make a very good point, Will. I'm just going to piggyback a little bit off the point that you just made, and you're on the right track. I think the NFL could look at some of the other leagues, especially like in our European leagues, and maybe give a clue. Maybe it might help them solve their diversity issue. I know in football, this thing also goes on in football, whereby there's not a lot of black football managers around. But one thing that in football a lot of people have to do is to being able to get your coaching licenses, and to be a head coach, you have to have a certain type of license. I think in football before a club
It's a
is
pro
able to.
license. Yeah, so
Yeah,
in the Premier League, it's a thing called a pro license.
exactly. So you gotta have that license. I don't think in NFL circles there's anything that's like a license or type of qualification that you have to achieve before a
Correct.
team can appoint you as a head coach. I mean, for all I care, I could appoint. Let's say if I buy a team today and will you coaches my science high school football team, I could appoint you as a head coach as soon as I buy the team because I know you have a relationship with you, so I could appoint you as a head coach. You don't have to go through any of these qualifications. I think the if they have to put certain criterias to owners having to hire coaches,
So,
that could be a way of solving these diversity issues. When I talk about having certain criterias for fulfillment to actually select a head coach, it has to be something that is robust that they cannot easily swerve around to go and keep appointing these coaches. Because it seems like at the moment, NFL coaches are they appointing these head coaches based off on relationships and people that look like them, so to speak.
so some interesting statistics. Since in the 20 years since the Rooney Rule was passed, only 15 head coaching positions have been filled by black candidates. During that time, there have been approximately 129 head coaching vacancies. Therefore, 11% of head coaching positions have been filled by black candidates in a league where approximately 70% of the players are black. Additional statistics: since 1978, only 16 winning teams have fired their head coach. That's 3%. Even though black men hold a small fraction of the head coaching positions during that time, 25%, so 4 out of the 16 head coaches fired after a winning season were black.
But here's the thing, it's such a damning statistic because and that's where people have talked in the past that the Rooney Rule ultimately kind of like it fails because all it says is that you just go give them an interview, you don't have to hire them, and then the incentive of they try to help that by giving the draft picks, whereby if you hire a minority head coach or a GM, the team gets 2 third round picks in the current year's draft and the following year's draft. They get self third round compensatory picks, and that doesn't seem to have moved the needle. But I wonder, is this where I'm just trying to look at solutions, how they diversify and um, be able to appoint more. Because in the NBA, it seems like owners in the NBA have more faith in appointing black coaches, but they tend to appoint a lot of black ex players that were black that have finished playing after a year or two. They've worked as an assistant
Or is it a
and they get
difference in
appointed.
culture between the NBA owners and the NFL owners?
That's true, but it seems like they will do well to learn from their NBA counterparts, in terms of appointing, black and especially minority head coaching candidates, to help the team, essentially. And one last take is a little bit of a other take is that, well, by the way, the NFL Owners Club, Jerry Jones essentially is kind of like the unofficial president of the Owners Club.
Mm.
Yeah, as we
A lot of
know.
people don't like to say that, but he's like the power broker in the owners club. There are some owners that have influence like Kraft and others, but it's almost like Jerry is the biggest thing if something's gonna happen, if a massive change is gonna happen. Um, runs through Jerry.
There we have the discussion on that. There's a lot to know. Well, many allegations have been made. Many allegations may be still to be made. We will bring it to you as and when the news filters through. And that, funnily enough, was the largest story of the week. Considering that the other story that we will now talk about is the retirement of Peter's favourite player. The player that he loves more than any other in the history of the NFL. And that is the man who was out of Tampa Bay. Tom Brady officially now has retired. And we had, so over the weekend, It was leaked by Schefter and Darlington, and
Yep.
then a 9-page kind of not a notepad kind of Instagram message was sent, and a tweet kind of like thread was given out by Tom Brady saying thank you to everyone. Well, except from the Patriots, but it's expected that he will be signing a 1-day contract with the Patriots to finish off his career. Thoughts
Oh,
on
is that what he's gonna do?
that's the expectation. Which,
You mean-
It's a nice gesture.
considering that he's spent 20 years of his career at that organization, that's kind of the standard thing to do.
I think
Can you
if
imagine
he
him
does
retiring
it,
a buck?
no, but if he does it, he's doing it for Robert Kraft. He's not doing it for Belichick. We all know
He's
that.
doing it. I don't know. He's doing it for Kraft.
I think he's doing it for
'Cause-
himself.
Oh, it's a bit
No,
of
he's doing
both.
it for
And
Kraft.
Kraft. Yeah, I think it's more Kraft and himself.
There's more Kraft than Belichick. Like, let's okay. So if Belichick owned the team, he wouldn't care. He would retire Buck. We all know that.
Yeah. They've never had lunch. They've never had dinner. They've never had dinner together. They've never gone to play golf. That's like an impossibility. Like, can you imagine? You've had that
20
much
years.
success and you've never gone to a restaurant with your head coach. Like he's just never had that. And I think that's insane to see. But I think that's typical Bill Belichick. He never gets too close because he knows someday he might have to take your job away and be like, you're gone. So he doesn't get too attached.
I think in all 23 years of Tom Brady's career, that's the one thing that eats at him the most.
Yeah.
The fact that he never got Bill Belichick's love. He got Belichick's respect.
Man, that's crippling.
But the thing is that
Is
Belichick never. Here's my take about that before I go on and talk about Brady after this. But my thing is that Belichick, I've come to this conclusion. Belichick respected Brady for his intangibles, his leadership, the competitor he was. But he never loved Brady because Belichick never rated Brady skill-wise. Because the way Belichick talks about Lawrence Taylor, Belichick loved Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah.
But Brady wanted that kind of love, and Belichick never gave him that kind of love. Belichick respected him, admired him for his competitiveness, his willingness to win, his mental fortitude, everything else. But I don't think Belichick really loved Tom Brady's skill set as a quarterback.
Yeah.
And that's my take.
He's had an amazing career, but there will always be salt between those two. I think more for Brady, I don't think Belichick cares about this sort of stuff. He's the same to everyone. But for Brady, like, can you imagine going to see your parents, Brady's parents, and your dad being like, yo, have you had lunch yet? 12, 15 years into your career. And he's like, no, he's not inviting me over for Thanksgiving. Nope. Nothing.
But do you know that Belichick?
No, he's furious about. His family's furious about it because they probably never even met him. They've never. Can you imagine?
You know the funny thing is, Belichick has actually had dinner and stuff with other players that he's coached.
Yeah, that's
except Brady.
Yeah. So that's always going to be an interesting dynamic, and I'm pretty sure they'll probably do a biopic movie on this relationship.
But do you know the expectation is so on the day that he does the 1-day signing, there'll be a press conference, and the expectation is probably that Bill will be sat next to Tom.
That's going to be
press
awkward.
Conference.
But yeah, I mean, they'll keep it civil. They'll leave like they started. It'll be good. But yeah, no, let's just wait for the memoirs. That's all I'm saying. Congratulations to Tom Brady. Amazing career. It got to the point where we didn't really no one wanted him to win more rings because it was boring,
We didn't want him to win more rings, but it was
exciting.
interesting to see how he was still managing to do it at that age.
Yeah. So I mean, he's had an amazing career. He's played for, I think, nearly 3 eras, the tail end of the 90s, the 2000s, and then 2010 and beyond. So that's, if you think about it, 3 eras he's essentially played through. It'll be very hard for anyone to match his
The records,
Super
a lot of
Bowl
the
win.
records, yeah.
Numbers might happen because there's more games,
Mhm.
players, there's better health,
Yeah.
medical advancements as well. Numbers might be beaten, but in terms of like Super Bowl championships, good luck.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't.
It's going to be very,
I
very
think that's
difficult.
going to be hard to reach.
In
But
terms
Especially
of
with
numbers,
especially with
fall.
the competitiveness with the quarterbacks in the league at the moment.
Yeah,
It's going to be very difficult
Yeah.
to dominate.
Yeah.
he dipped out at just the right time. You know.
No,
Um,
but he was also fortunate because he came out the right era where
Yeah.
there was QB talent. I wouldn't say there wasn't QB talent because you had the Manning brothers, you had Roethlisberger as his main competitors, but it wasn't as many top level quarterbacks as there is now. Because right now
Yeah.
we talk about these youngers. You've got Burrow, Allen, Lamar, you have Kyler, you have my homeboy. And then in 2023, those two stars from Alabama and Ohio State is joining the fray. Justin Fields is also one that, if he has an outstanding season coming up, he joins that group now. So it's kind of like there's a lot more elite quarterbacks era that we're about to embark on, and they're just
Yeah.
gonna cancel each other out. It's like one will win two, another person will come and win two. It's kind of like
He had
who ends up being on top. And the reason why I say that Brady's Super Bowls probably might never be done in this era of quarterbacks is because he had a one constant in his corner, Belichick. He had
Yeah.
a head coach that was so in
who
tune
knew
with
how
winning.
to win as well.
Exactly. Would do everything they needed to win.
It's a bit like
And-
Roy Keane and Sir Alex. That combination.
Yeah.
It's
the
more of
perfect storm.
winning. Yeah, it's the perfect storm of those two being able to drive to so many wins. Now, to look at the Bucks themselves, this is the 2021 starters, right? QB1 retired. Running back 1 unrestricted free agent. Wide receiver 2 or 1B unrestricted free agent. Tight end unrestricted free agent. Center unrestricted free agent. Both defensive ends are unrestricted free agents. Weak side linebacker, the will linebacker, unrestricted free agent. Free safety and right side cornerback. All unrestricted free agents.
Yeah, I mean, I feel as though that helped his decision. Don't get me wrong. I don't think he wants to go to another team to prove anything. So yeah, no, it was a given.
He would have proven a lot to me.
No,
If he
no,
had
but
back
but
with the
but
cupboard
but from
empty.
that, now we're talking now specifically talking about the Bucks.
Yeah.
If we're taking Brady out of the conversation, the whole of the NFC South is completely wide open next year now.
Yep.
It is, but knowing Bruce Arians, I don't think the Bucks knowing the fact that some of these players are gonna go, they are gonna find replacements if they lose half of their roster. It's a setback. I don't think anybody will have my Super Bowl favorites, but I think
But
knowing
who would you put as the divisional favorites?
well, they're the defending champs, and are they
That
not?
doesn't matter if you lose all of your talent. Doesn't mean anything.
Well, let's see what they do in the off season. Like it's still open
Yeah,
right now.
I'm asking you guys to put a flag in the ground and say they're
Well,
doomed. They're
I
not
can't do that
doomed.
right now.
Do you think they're doomed?
I would say Bruce Arians
Are they going first to
of
last?
offense he runs, the type of offense he runs is like throw the ball down the field, very short. There's no intermediate game at all. So they
Well,
need a
Brady
quarterback with a
changed that.
massive arm that can get it down the field. And the reason why Brady was able to impose his will was because obviously the clout he has coming in, not just that, but they were winning games with his
Do you
methods.
think Kyle Trask is the one?
No. He might be enough to hold the fort for a while, but they do need to sort of bring in a QB. But that's going to take a while, and I don't think Bruce Arians really wants to stick around. He's won a championship,
Well, he's gonna coach. He said he's gonna coach them for one more year, which is this.
So
coming
he's
season.
coaching
I don't
them for
think
one
he'll
more year.
stick around. He's achieved what he wants to achieve.
Do you know who the favorite, well, the bookies' favorite so far is
But to be his quarterback,
to be the quarterback?
Caleb
I
Plant.
don't know.
Jimmy G.
Okay, yeah. but he hasn't
Nah,
got the arm to run
I
sort of
don't see
errands of
how it
offense.
runs because
Right.
unless Jimmy G is coming in to run the Tom Brady offense that he installed in Tampa, because
Yeah.
I don't see how Jimmy is
Mhm.
gonna be there. But one thing I must say is that what I'm gonna say is that Bruce Arians with Tampa Bay, they might probably get about 8 wins, 9 wins at a push because of the type of coach I know Bruce Arians is.
Mhm.
Because even the year before Brady got there, if it wasn't for Jameis's interceptions, they probably would have won 8 or 9 games. I believe Jameis lost them at least 2 games in that season
Yeah.
that they went 7-9 before Brady got there with his
Yeah.
ints. But if he wasn't giving the ball away so much, they probably would have finished 9-7. Because Bruce is a very good coach, but when you have a GOAT quarterback, you let him run the offense. You don't do anything bad now. But I think they'll be okay, and I'll give him an outside shot at winning the division still, even with them losing Brady and the Cowboys being better
Okay,
for
now
now.
considering the state of the Saints, because the Saints would have been the next people in line, but their cap situation, you don't have a clue how they're gonna manage to get around that. Saints potentially losing a lot of talent. Bucks potentially losing a lot of talent.
Yep.
Panthers having, well, the quarterback situation that they've got, and the Falcons just having a lack of talent
Yep. On the defensive side, especially.
on the defensive side, particularly. Who would you say now is the favourite? Which team?
Um,
Let's say
I,
they lose most of the star power. The Saints and the Bucks lose most of their star power. Let's put that in.
I'll go with the Bucks because I believe in Bruce Arians and Todd Bowles.
Yeah, they'll shift their focus to a defensive-minded team. See that happening.
That
But that division is like
Pan-
wide open
are
right
the
now.
Panthers if they sort out if they have half decent quarterback play? Do you think that they could actually do something this year? And CMC stays fit because
I
their
don't
defense
think
is very
so.
good.
Yeah, but I don't think so because I don't believe in McAdoo. I think he's not a good offensive guy.
Mind, yeah.
And
Yeah,
McAdoo.
because last time it was in the NFL with the Giants, it wasn't that great. They had the okay 10-6 season, but the last seasons he was with the Giants was horrible offensively, and I think he benefited from being the OC with the Packers before he got the Giants job. I think it was more of an Aaron Rodgers thing than himself.
Well, now we get on to the third piece of news. And the Washington football team is no more because they have rebranded. It is official. They are now to be known as the Washington Commanders, but we all know that they are going to be abbreviated to the Washington Commies. Go, Commies, go! They even wear red. Come
Yeah,
on.
no, it was
And
an
they're in the
easy
nation's
layup.
capital. This is just like, you can't make this up, can you?
Yeah, it was an easy setup. I kind of feel
Horrible.
as though I always want to know when these decisions are made, you've got to have someone from different eras in the room that can at least tell you, no, you can't use that name because
Do
we'll just
you
get called the
do you know there's
someone would have
a
just said
double
that straight
AFL
away.
team called the Commanders?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I heard that. No, it's just one of those things. I mean, I'm happy they finally have a name. Um, but
Some
I think
people even
everyone,
suggested that they should have just stayed at the football team.
yeah, yeah, they should have just called themselves Washington. That's okay. You can do that, and I think everyone got used to it. You know what I mean? But now that I think being the states, they have to name themselves after something, and they're now the sort of commanders. I'm not a big fan of their kit, especially their all black kit. Like
No, no, the
when
black kit looks quite
it's
nice.
okay, it's okay. But when you have a rebranding like this, you really have you really have a chance to set yourself apart with like a really cool, slick kit. And I think they kind of dropped the ball there. Don't get me wrong, it looks okay, but I feel as though
They were never going to
they could
change
do
their
better.
colours.
Yeah,
There,
for sure.
and the reason is that stadium already has the club colours in it, so you're
Yeah,
not going to change all of those seats.
I don't think they would have done that. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm happy for them. It was long overdue. Let's just hope they can start, commanding some wins, or else it's basically, or else it's not gonna go.
The I like what Pat McAfee said on his show yesterday. It doesn't matter what you call them, but winning solves everything.
Mm.
You win, it doesn't
You know,
matter what they call you. You can call you whatever you want. A winning side, people like you. People don't care what you're called.
Yep.
yeah, but it's a terrible name though. You could have gone with the Warriors. The Warriors make sense. Like what's the name?
So
Commanders. It's like
the reason why they didn't call themselves the Warriors was because it still had um, Native American connotations because of Native warriors. That's why they
that's a
wanted to stay
stretch.
clear of it. That was a stretch,
Yeah,
but they didn't.
but that's
They didn't want to have anything to do with it. That's how, like, from a PR perspective, there would have been somebody who would have twisted it that way. Commanders, you don't have that twist. That's the only reason why. Like,
like the Native Americans. They were not the only warriors in the history of
correct,
humankind. There are warriors
correct,
across every race, every continent.
exactly.
I think they just didn't want the same debacle, so they were really walking on ice. They just wanted to make sure that they had something that could not be linked back to anything
So why?
controversial,
I
but they'll
mean,
still be called commies, so it doesn't matter.
I really don't like it. I think they should have gone with like the generals from the film. That would have even made sense.
Yeah.
They should what was it? Odds on some sarcastic hammer and sickles being in the crowd whenever you
If
call me
if,
easy commies.
if 90% of their fans don't like the name, the fans were horrified and they were like, "What is this? You only had one job."
I haven't seen Matt Barry's reaction because obviously he's one of the most prominent Washington football fans when it comes to like the football industry. And I haven't
Mm.
seen his reaction. He said he was going to react today. He was going to let it stew for a whole day. But hey, there we have it. The Washington football team is no more. Now we must get on to the two matchups that happened last weekend. And where do we start? I think we'll start with the AFC.
Get it?
The Chiefs managed to throw away an 18-point lead. Patrick Mahomes had a 149 passer rating in the first half and had a 0 passer rating in the second half. Whatever that game plan changed from a defensive point of view from the Bengals at halftime worked. And boy, did it work.
Yeah, no, the Bengals were absolutely stout in the second half, but I think this is more of a case of Kansas City throwing away the game. Um, what I'm not going to say they should know. I think they already do know. When you're in the playoffs, you have to play to win. We go back the week before, and we saw the Rams against Tampa. They could have very easily have just curled up in a ball and let Brady do his thing, but they didn't. You have to play with confidence. Like bad things can happen, but like you miss every shot you don't take. You know, if we compare the two performances in back-to-back weeks, we saw Stafford go down the field throwing laser after laser. One interception, one tip ball, and that game is over and they lose. You know, Mahomes, I feel as though I can understand before the overtime, obviously, they got to goal line and he was thinking, well, in the back of his head, he was like, we have a field goal in here.
This was in
So
the
worst
first half.
comes to
In the
worst.
first half, at the end of the first half, they had that play where they ran out of time and they screened it to Tyreek, didn't they?
Was it Tyreek?
Yeah, because Tyreek got tackled before the end zone. This is the last play of the first half.
Oh, yeah. This was just one of those games. And I think just to sort of recap it, he was thinking, there's a field goal here. I can take my time. We'll go 4 downs. And on the fourth down, we'll kick a field goal. We'll go overtime. But that's the thing. He didn't. All right, he held onto that ball. And what you have to understand is when the field is that short in red zone, you can't really wait for plays to develop because the sidelines and the touchline become defenders. There's not enough space for those wide receivers to run. And like that ball has to be out in 3 seconds at least. So those plays were all dead. Like he could have thrown the ball away, but he took a sack each time. Sometimes a sack is intentional because what then happens is you extend the field, so it almost allows you to run a few
to
more
get
plays.
out.
So
Yeah.
it's not it's not necessarily a bad
But
thing
not
that
that
he
far
got
back.
sacked, but not that far back. That's what I'm saying. So there was that situation, and then in overtime, he's the same thing again. He just didn't want to. He took the first shot that was nearly intercepted, but it didn't happen. So everyone was like, okay, fine, that's all right. Well, let's go down there and score. And literally, almost
Now,
like a copycat play.
but
Oof.
that play, from a defensive point of view,
Yep.
from the DB, was perfect.
Yep.
He put his hand in the exact position that Tyreek cannot catch that ball, and
Yep.
he meant to hit that down.
Yep. With conviction.
Well, he
Like
played well.
smashed it.
It was a great
Was that
play.
Jesse Bates who did that?
Yeah, it was Jesse Bates that caused it, and I think Von Bell picked it off when the ball was coming out. But the thing is, this is a lesson, and I hope Mahomes learn from it. That when you're playing a game of this magnitude, it's about winning the game. It's not about style points. I think he needs to learn that. For me to, if that's his goal, to consistently get to the point whereby I want to get to being in those good conversations. These are the type of games that you win, not by being the hero, the reason why your team won, but by making the right plays, which a certain guy who just retired has made a career out of and has undoubtedly been crowned a gold quarterback. Certainly, my book is the greatest quarterback of all time because he got those decisions right, which is there's certain critical moments in the game whereby you read the flow of the game and then you take what the defense is giving you rather than deciding that we're going to be who we are, we're going to be the Chiefs. And I think in the second half of the season, Kansas City change their offense. But when they go to the playoffs and they start rolling, they start scoring points, they seem to want to get back to we're going to be who you are regardless of the defense. But here's the thing, though. You got to respect the position and the adjustments that they're making. And that's what a lot of these 31 other teams don't do. The Patriots, during the Brady Belichick era, did it very well. They will change the flow of the offense in the second half to the type of offense that make us win the game. And that's what ultimately caused Kansas City Chiefs. You had a huge lead in the game. You lead 21-3 at some point. I believe they lost the game just before halftime. When they go down to the red zone and it was 5 seconds on the clock,
the field goal.
And they didn't kick the field goal. If they had kicked that field goal during that last drive, all they needed was another field goal and they would have won the game.
Correct.
Because 5 seconds on the clock, Mahomes comes to read and says, I can get it. But there's a point whereby, as a coach, sometimes saying no to your player doesn't mean I'm doubting his ability.
It's more of just this is what I've got to do.
It's more of like, exactly, we need to win this game. It's not about your ability at this moment. And there's a second half to go. You can show me all you want to show me in the second half, but we have got to kick this field goal with 5 seconds to go, get the points, extend the lead, and then you win the game. And that is what ultimately cost the Kansas City Chiefs. In the second half, when the Bengals adjusted their defense to rushing just 3 or 4,
they played incredibly well in the second half.
They did. And the reason why the Bengals won this game, Burrow was efficient. Burrow made good decisions, but outside the Bengals defense won them this game because in the second half they became a clamped on defense. There
were instances where they were stride for stride with Tyreek. He couldn't get free.
Exactly, he couldn't separate, and that's because it was a leverage thing. When you're playing a speed receiver, they realized that in the first half we can't press him on the line. So we gotta give him some space and make sure that we are stride for stride when he accelerates to try to run away and create separation. Because as a DB, when you're playing a very fast or very quick wide receiver that you can't press, you have to be in off coverage so that by the time he gets into his route, you're step for step with him. You have to give that cushion to be able to be step for step, and they made a great adjustment on that. But playing 8 guys in coverage worked excellently for the Bengals. But
And the
here's
pass
where I
rush was
say the
still getting there
Chiefs.
to a point.
But that's the thing. But here's the thing where the Chiefs needs to adjust. When a defense are not putting 8 men in the box, run the football,
Yeah,
run them out of it. And I don't know, Andy Reid. People say that Bienemy was calling the plays. That's why I was telling you guys that yes, Bienemy might be calling the plays, but no doubt Andy Reid will tell him whether you're doing a pass or a run. Andy Reid might not choose what pass play that he's
Mhm.
calling into the huddle, but over his headset he'll tell the OC, "Oh, I want to pass, run or pass." They do that ahead of the next series. And Andy Reid, and you can attest to this, Will, when he was with your Eagles, he was very, very pass happy most of the time.
yeah,
Running the football, he will run the football when it's absolutely necessary for him to run it, but he will not run the football to try to win a game. And that's the Achilles heel of Andy Reid. He
yeah,
likes the pass too much. And that's what cost the Chiefs. Because I undoubtedly believe if they had run the ball more in the second half, they would have put this game to bed.
yeah.
But
Even when
it
they
just
they
shows.
they were getting yards, they were getting yards. That
Mm,
was the thing.
yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, we're able to run the ball. That doesn't matter. We're not going to do that, but we can run it. Any team that allows you to run the ball, you do that, you know. But even when you can, that's been Andy Reid's mo. It doesn't matter if you show him a clear field. He's like, I'm going to pass it.
In
So
this game, irrespective of the situation that Burrows had himself in, does he have ice in his veins or something? Because he doesn't seem to get phased very easily
no, I
He's
at
got
think
all.
poise.
he's incredibly
Got very
confident
good poise.
and he's very poised. Like he'll just look you right in the face. He's tough. He'll play hurt. He'll battle on. It doesn't matter. And I think that psychologically, teams are starting to realize that you can't really fluster him up. If you pass him,
Can't
you
get up in
sack
his
him.
face. He's not the kind of
That's
quarterback
not
you get up in his face and he gets phased kind of thing.
his play's not going to
You
change.
no.
He's going to be as lethal at the start of the game as he is at the end, um, and that's invaluable in this league. And I think it's that sort of iron will, no distractions, tunnel vision that he has that has allowed him to sort of carry this team to that next level, especially in his this is year 2 for him. So already
Mhm.
he's an
So
all-time great. He's Ring
he
of Honor
wins.
right now.
Yeah, yeah. He wins his Super Bowl. He's the youngest ever.
Yeah.
He's the youngest ever, and the greatest thing, the biggest thing about Burrow, and that's what me and Dilly was talking about earlier, is that he already is playing very, very mature for a young quarterback. Well, 25. He's
Young
still a
is
young
in terms
quarterback.
of NFL years, number of
Yeah.
years in the
NFL,
NFL.
yes, yeah, very young. But it goes to show what I said, that Burrow is one of those quarterbacks that playing a lot in college has benefited in the fact that he has experience and he's playing to win the game. He's not playing primarily for stats or trying to make the big play. Even when he was getting sacked, if you notice with this player that when he's getting sacked, when he's getting pressure, he starts playing the game from down to down, which is let's live to see the next down. Run the
Correct.
football, throw to just beat the sticks. If it's an 11-yard throw, an 8-yard throw, make those throws to keep moving the sticks. And that is what's so impressive about Joe Burrow, is that maturity beyond his years, his poise and his ability to play the game and not be unfazed regardless of what's going on. I'm just gonna keep taking what you give, because if you're blitzing me and if there's only short throws I can make or intermediate throws, I'll make those intermediate throws and try and get my team to move the ball to if we've got 3 points, 7 points at the end of the drive, we're gonna get some points. And that's something that all these young quarterbacks in the league needs to learn from. Just watch some tape of the veteran guys and what Joe Burrow has done this offseason, which is playing down to down, distance to distance. So yeah, so kudos to that, and shout out to the
Another
Bengals
player
defense.
who has ice in his veins is the kicker. I'm going to
Oh yeah,
mention him again. Evan Shooter McPherson. now on 12 made field goals out of 12 in this postseason. And he is only 2 behind the all-time record set by a single season all-time record set by Adam Vinatieri. So if in the Super Bowl he makes 3 field goals, that record is his. And if he attempts 4 field goals, that record is his.
Yep. Could we be seeing the start of the next great kicker? The guy who's going to be flying the flag for kickers everywhere. I mean, right now it's Tucker. You know,
So
but
the discussion
this
that
is that next.
Adam Vinatieri was on Pat McAfee show yesterday because his son has just committed to UMass
As a kicker?
as a punter,
Okay.
and the discussions that he's had over they had a discussion about McPherson. And the mentality that he has, that McPherson has, is very similar to Vinatieri. You know, the cannon of a leg, but even if it's like a 40-yard field goal, he's going to hit it really hard. He's not going to try and put touch on it or anything like that. He's just going to absolutely blast it, and that's the way he gets the confidence in his technique. Whereas the understanding is Justin Tucker is a perfectionist in his, that's the kind of kicker he is. There's 2 different, like, I'm just going to hit it really hard, and that's the way I get my confidence, rather than Tucker will kick it as hard as it needs to be for that kick.
Well, I mean, the question is,
even though he's got a cannon of a leg himself.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, so here's my question: like, who's the GOAT kicker though?
Well, the GOAT kicker at the moment, I would say, is Vinatieri because of the magnitude of his kicks.
I said Vinatieri because when it was clutch.
Yeah, no. So he's he's Mr. Clutch. When it comes to Tucker's going to be in the Hall of Fame, my opinion, just because of he's got the records that he holds, the clutchness that he has. Just because the Ravens haven't been always getting into towards the Super Bowl doesn't mean he's not a great player, like one of the best players of all time for his position.
Oh, he is, no doubt.
So Vinatieri is the GOAT, and Tucker is like just a teeny weeny bit behind him. But McPherson, if he continues on in this vein as a rookie, this is a rookie for forgetting. This is not like a seasoned professional. This is his first year in the team, and he's playing like this. Oof.
Yeah, these kickers have long careers, man. Tucker's probably going to be around for another 15 years. And because he's only 34, so if he plays into his late 40s, then yeah, and Fiston's in his 20s, so I'm probably going to be heading into my 50s, and McPherson will still be kicking footballs in the league. That's crazy to think about. Just think.
Because he's very young. He's only like 21.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be in my mid 50s, and he's still going to be kicking balls.
Talking about kickers, what the hell happened to Greg the Leg, man? Because he was on that kind of trajectory at the beginning of the.
But that injury, I think, once he came back from that injury, it doesn't seem like he's been the same since. Correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
So one record. So okay, since he went through, one record that a Cincinnati player can break for the postseason is Joe Burrow. If he gets 32 completions, he'll have the most number of completions in the postseason.
Like I said, that guy's already Ring of Honor right now. Like,
who is the stat holder for that? I ask you guys because I've gone through a bunch of records. So we know that Vinatieri is a field goal. Who has the most number of completions in a single postseason?
In a single postseason, Drew Brees?
Cat Warner?
Nope.
It's got to be someone with good accuracy.
Eli.
Oh,
Eli Manning.
I swear he's like the Clark Kent of football,
That's
man.
25-yard,
He just
10-yard
blends
passes
in.
count.
It doesn't matter. A completion to completion, correct?
Yeah.
But actually, he owns Eli Manning owns another record, and we will talk about that other record when we get on to our next game, because we'll go through what records could be broken by certain players. Um, with respect to each game. Now, what one question? What do you think is the longest ever field goal in the playoffs?
Like somewhere around the 50 yards, maybe.
50 yards.
50,
Somewhere in the
58.
58. Bloody hell.
Stefanovic and Gano. Yeah, Graham Gano. McPherson's capable of breaking that.
Yep.
It's just having the balls as a head coach to go for that kick.
I think if you have
In
a
a Super
young
Bowl.
kicker like that, that can be as confident as he is. I don't think the coach will have a problem putting the game on the line with him there.
No, especially at end of let's say for example end of the first half, you get down and it's a 60-yarder. There,
Yep.
you attempt it. That could be the record.
Yep. 59, 60 yards. Yep. That's it.
Moving on to the NFC Championship game, and this was the largest ever comeback in an NFC Championship game. 10 points. The Rams were behind against the San Francisco 49ers, and they managed to make their way to a home Super Bowl. Thoughts on this game, guys? Because it was a slow burner, but eventually it really did hot up.
Yeah, no, shout out to Jimmy G. He gets a lot of bad rep.
He played well.
He
Aside from
plays well. He kind of did what he had to do. He had obviously there's one error every game. That's his MO really. But aside from that, it was
a bit of a it was just a small one though in this game.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
It was a small one. He was playing hurt, so he did what he needed to do. The 49ers, I was kind of surprised that they came out as strong as they did. I actually thought this was going to be kind of one-sided. I didn't really think they'd stand too much of a chance here, but shout out to Shanahan. They were able to sort of move the ball around. Debo was an absolute monster. He didn't show up too much on the stat sheet, but
well, no, because in the third quarter,
yeah,
he got clamped down.
Yeah,
like if you look at Debo, he had 7 rushes for 26 yards, and you consider how big his rushes tend to be. That's not a lot.
Yeah,
he had 4 catches for 72 yards. Jimmy G had 16 completions for 232 yards.
Yeah.
So when they were moving chunks down the field, but the rest of it wasn't brilliantly efficient, especially when they were trying to come back. The Rams were coming back into the game.
Yeah, so that was really good to see. For the Rams, Odell Beckham, you know what I mean? Like that's exactly why they brought him there. They clamped down on Cooper Kupp, and Odell Beckham was able to get one-on-one, and I don't care who it is, with the exception of perhaps Ramsey, maybe a slightly younger Stephon Gilmore. There aren't like a lot of guys that can compete with Odell Beckham one-on-one in space, and that showed. It showed so much that they decided to kind of move the coverage over to try and contain Odell Beckham. When that happened, Cooper Kupp started waking up. So it's just one of those things where very rarely do you have a team that has a 1A, an A1 and an A2. You know, either way, that very rarely happens. Usually there's one guy that's a little bit better and commands more attention. So the Rams right now are very dangerous, and I think that tandem that they have there is going to pay dividends in the overall Super Bowl. So yeah, congratulations to them. Congratulations to Stafford. He played really well.
It only took him 1 year out of Detroit to get to the Super Bowl.
And the thing is, if you're from Detroit, you're not even mad.
No, they're happy for him because
they're like, we knew he was this good all along. We see it every year. but it's our organization that lets him down every year. So I think this just goes to show, and I think everyone in the league understands where you play, the quality of that organization, the quality of that back office, it really does matter because it can change
Yeah.
careers. We've seen it with Ryan Tannehill. We're seeing it with Stafford. You know, where you play does matter. So don't always pigeonhole players saying they can't produce, they can't play. Sometimes they just need a change of scenery. But yeah, no, it was awesome to see, and I just can't wait. I mean, it's going to be an interesting Super Bowl, and I think you've kind of got the vet at QB and the young gun at QB. So, well, it's going to be an interesting
The
game.
one thing about this game, though, it all hinged on one play.
What's that?
The missed interception.
Oh,
As far as I'm concerned, they get that interception, that game is dead in the water.
Well, Stafford threw it so well he couldn't catch it.
It was so he threw it so well that it was only to that guy because there was nobody else who was capable of catching that ball, and it was
but that's what I'm saying. Like, if you just ask me, and if I'm myself, I'd be like, did he catch it though? Because I threw the ball so well he couldn't catch it. It was a fast one.
Now, thoughts
Only
on Cooper
special people
Cup.
catch my passes.
But thoughts on Cooper Cup: 142 yards, 11 receptions, 2 touchdowns. That's why having OBJ on that team is so dangerous, because you can't always if OBJ starts to eat, then Cooper Cup's gonna eat.
Yep.
And Cooper Cup is the most dangerous. Like, okay, I'm gonna ask you guys a question. Say, for example, Cooper Cup has a great Super Bowl, they win. Has he had the best overall season for a wide receiver?
That I've seen in a while. In fact,
No.
the best ever
The best ever.
The best ever what?
Season, full season.
We're talking the full season, not just regular, but playoffs, Super Bowl,
Regular
whatever.
plus playoffs. Best ever. Say he catches 2 touchdowns in the Super Bowl. And
what I've seen him do this season has been incredible. I haven't seen that from a wideout like the whole year. He sustained that. He sustained it. Like, this isn't like he's had 1 game on, 3 games while he's hot, 1 game, 2 games don't factor. No. He sustained it the entire year heading into the playoffs. This is why I always say, like, they gave Aaron Rodgers that MVP, but we all know, like, really, Cooper Kupp was doing something incredible. Like, we'll see an Aaron Rodgers-like performance some point. Maybe not from him, but Cooper Kupp, we might not see that for a long time.
There are potentially 3 records, postseason records. No, 4 of them that he can beat. One, he most likely will. So he needs 7 receptions for the most receptions in a postseason. He is going to get that in this game.
He'll get 7.
He will get 7. And the current holder is Travis Kelce. He needs 3 touchdowns to equal, not to beat, to equal the most number of receiving touchdowns in a postseason. And Peter's actual favourite player holds that record.
Who is it? Larry Fitt?
which is still the best postseason by a wide receiver, and I don't think Cooper Kupp could do anything in the Super Bowl to change that.
How many touchdowns does he need? 3 more.
He needs 3 to equal, and he needs 161 yards to beat the yardage. So, for example, he gets 161 and 2 and wins. Is that the best?
Well,
I wouldn't say so, because here's the thing though, like, so when I put in perspective what Larry Fitzgerald did in that 2008 postseason with the Cardinals, and the reason why in the NFL circles the regard as the greatest postseason ever by wide receivers, because he literally put a team on his back, and Fitzgerald played, you know, it was essentially the same amount of games, but it's kind of like everyone knew the ball was going to Fitzgerald, and he had to get that many receptions, he had to get the yards, he had to get the touchdowns, otherwise the Cardinals were not winning the game. The Rams can win if Cooper doesn't go off. Correct? In this game, they could win the game.
Technically,
if Cooper
they can
go
because
off.
if the OBJ can go off because Cooper's
Yeah,
held to
Exactly.
X amount of yards.
yeah, it's going to be hard for him.
So so I said he needs 7 receptions for most receptions. He's getting that as far as we're concerned. 3 touchdowns to equal Larry Fitz, 161 yards to beat Larry Fitz for yardage. And a real stretch goal is if he manages to go completely off and gets 240 yards, he beats the most yards from scrimmage in the postseason. Which is unlikely.
Hard. That's going to be hard.
No, if he gets 240 yards, full stop from scrimmage, so if he somehow gets a rush, then he would get that as well. Some interesting records for the Super Bowl specifically are 14 receptions is the most number of receptions. And that's held by James White because of in the 28-3 game of having all those dump-off passes. The most number of receiving yards is 215, and the most number of receptions is 3. TD receptions is 3, and that's Jerry Rice for both of those 2 receiving records. Depending on how this game flow goes, we never know. One of these could fall.
He's getting doubled anyway, until Odell Beckham gets doubled, and then he'll eat. So he gets these records if he's able to be productive throughout the whole game.
Yeah.
Starting halfway through, I mean, if he does manage to somehow scrape a few, I'd be gobsmacked. And I think if he does go off like that, they're going to win that game. So it'll be interesting to see. I reckon he gets close. He might even get one, but
I think he doesn't get any of the Super Bowl records, but I think he's going to get at least one of the postseason records.
Yeah,
he already has. From my understanding, I haven't been able to. He already has the most number of yards, receiving yards in an entire season. Because Calvin Johnson didn't get to the playoffs in that record season of his.
Crippling.
And that's how many yards?
The number of yards? How many yards that he's got altogether between the cumulatively between the two?
Yeah.
Let me just bring it up. I do have a spreadsheet for that, I believe. He has 1947 yards in regular season and 386 yards in the postseason. So he has over 2,300 yards receiving in the entire season.
Okay. It's a great season. I give him props. It's an amazing season. And it's an excellent season that he's had. Only caveat is that what I would say is that he's definitely taken the value and the ability of playing a slot wide receiver, wide receiver position to the next level.
Yeah. Slots.
And I'll leave it there.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, if you look at the two primary wide receivers in this game for each team, the one for each team, right? Yeah. Everyone says, "Oh, how can we have our slot receiver play like a Cooper Cup, or can we find the next, or can we have a wide receiver be like the next Tebow?" These guys are unique in the way that they play their positions.
Yep.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean,
both of them are unique in the way that you can't just pick these out of college and.
Yeah, no, it's definitely going to change things.
You can't but that's not going to stop teams from
trying
in the draft, trying to see, okay, can I find this guy to be the next Cooper Cup? Because essentially, when the Rams drafted Cooper Cup, they were thinking he could be the next Wes Walker, he could be the next Edelman. That was a prototype. McVay said it. That was a prototype.
But he's not even close. He's not even like those at all, is he?
No, but let me finish what I'm saying. That was a prototype then. That's okay, we've got Cooper Cup. He could be the other man to this offense. But then Cooper Cup has come in and raised the standard. He's taking it to the next level. So you're not even looking for, now teams are not looking for the next Edelman. They're not looking for the next him. He has changed that narrative that they thought it was going to be the next Edelman. No, I'm their new version, which
I'm
is
the
the
new
new
standard. I am the standard of
exactly
this position.
of slot wide receivers. He's taking it to the next level now, which is now if you're going to be a slot wide receiver, teams will be expected to produce at a higher level. Maybe not as highly as he's done it, because he's taking it so far to the next level.
And he doesn't
It's
have it just
incredible.
in the passing game though. He also has it in the run game
Yeah.
with regards to his
I mean,
blocking. Like
yeah.
You have
we
to be
saw an
physical if you're a
instance
slot.
of him blocking versus OBJ blocking. OBJ got obliterated, but he is physical.
When you play in the slot, like you have to be able to block interior. I'm not saying you've got to be able to stone linebackers, but you basically just got to be able to hold them off enough. You've got to be willing to take a hit
Exactly. Just
when you play
get
in the
in the
slot.
way.
So that comes with it. Pete, not to sort of get you excited, but I think Rondell Moore for you guys, he's the next. I think he's that next slot guy that's going to wow a lot of people. You saw
Very
flashes
different in
this season.
style. Very
Different in style, but I think that's more his build. Like he's a lot shorter. He's not quite as tall, but in terms of speed and route running ability, remember this is only his first year, and he was able to play like that. He's gonna get better.
I hope Cliff is listening to you, because the first year I just felt like, I don't even want to
he started off well, but he kind of
I wanted him
no,
so
it's
bad
not his
for my
fault.
Eagles.
That's what I'm trying to tell people. People watch these games, they're like, it's not his fault. Cliff just didn't use him down the field. He showed that I could go down the field, I could make catches, but when your coach is not calling routes for you to go down the field, what can you do? You're just a rookie. I'm just doing what the coach is telling me to do. And I feel like going into this year, I hope Cliff stops all that screen stuff. Let him get down the field, playing from the slot. Let him run these slot routes and see how good he can be.
Yeah, no, I was really impressed with how he played.
So now getting back to the game, that from the defensive point of view from the Rams, Aaron Donald is always a problem. He caused the problem at the end of the game, which caused the interception that ended the game.
Yep.
Is either him? Well, so Von Miller, if he get in the Super Bowl, if he gets 3 tackles for a loss, he has that record in the postseason. He's currently on 4, so but the way that they're going to be hunting Burrow and Mixon, can Von Miller do it next week? Well, not this weekend, but the weekend after.
Would you listen?
3 tackles for a loss in one game in the
I mean,
Super Bowl.
If you get 3 sacks, does it count? Because you could get 3 sacks whereby it's TFLs. Sometimes sacks can be counted as TFLs.
Yeah, I don't know how the stat exactly works, but do you know what the Super Bowl record for sacks is?
Is it not 3? 4.
4.
By who?
LC Greenwood.
Well, that's a long time record.
If they know your numbers,
it can be broken in this Super Bowl. I have a feeling it might get broken because the Rams pass rush is hellacious, and I think we cannot agree.
Even though the Cincy, even though the Cincy's
I think
O-line held up,
we cannot agree in the postseason. The Rams pass rush is has been the best pass rush in the postseason. It's been on the next level to the Chiefs. Any of the teams that the Bengals have faced, they haven't faced a pass rush as ferocious as the Rams. Even in the 49ers,
even the Titans. Oh no, they didn't face the Titans. They didn't. No, they did face the Titans. Even the Titans, when they got sacked galore.
But Jeffrey Simmons or Aaron Donald, who's much better?
Oh, Aaron Donald.
Donald. They say that Donald is the best player in the NFL, full stop.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. And who's better, Landry Badrupri or Von Miller?
The way that Landry's played this season, he's played to Von Miller's capabilities.
I wouldn't.
Not
prime Von Miller, though. Not prime Von Miller. Trust me. Prime Von Miller.
This year, Von Miller.
So basically
They're both been the same kind of caliber
they're
of player this
comparable,
season.
yeah. But Prime Von Miller was much higher. I'll say the Rams pass rush is I don't know. As much as Cincy is a good fan favorite, and it's a beautiful story that they are on, and it'll be an incredible
I don't think
achievement if
they're
they
ready
pull
for
it
that.
off. But I just feel like that pass rush is, and I think in a Super Bowl, Aaron Donald's already lost one Super Bowl, and
Oh yes,
He
and
wants
Von
that
Miller have
ring. He
discussions,
doesn't
you
and
care for anything
understand, right?
else.
yeah,
He's
yeah,
able to get back to where he got to. The way he
yeah.
will be playing in that game,
Do you know?
I'm talking. This guy might end
Do you
up
remember?
passing out because of
Do,
the
do,
amount
do you
of
know? Do you know
ferocity
that?
he is
But
coming with.
do you know
Yeah.
that both teams are going to be in home dressing rooms?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, the Chargers and the Rams, they share a stadium. Do you know that against the 49ers, this what means that this Super Bowl, Aaron Donald won it so bad, and he raised the level of the defensive and the pass rush in the postseason to the next level. He really motivated that crew because in the
This is it.
49ers game, I think there was a 30-second timeout, and he got all the defensive guys together and he gave him that talk.
And he
that,
doesn't do that usually.
no,
doesn't
he gave him that
normally
talk that
talk
look,
around.
Understand, this means so
fellas,
much to him, not
like
just from a team
this is
standpoint,
it, like
but a personal standpoint. He's already at the top
exactly.
of the castle. He's basically a walking Hall of Famer right now. Right now,
He just wants
he's
to.
got all the accolades. He needs
Yeah.
this
But he
win.
wants,
This is it.
but here's the thing, though.
He gets in without
He
the
needs
ring.
a Super Bowl to be talked in a great. No, he gets in. I get that. But here's the thing: you don't just want to be a Hall of Famer when you're that capable of player.
He wants to be
You want
the
to challenge the
best.
status quo of the thing is that he's already he's surpassed Warren Sapp. Now he's around the LT Reggie White levels. Are you better than them? And the stats are there. But when they break it down, he didn't win a ring. They won rings.
Yeah, that's
So
why
he
this
needs
means
that
so much
ring.
to him. You do
Okay,
that, I'm telling you, that line is not ready. He is not. He is going.
It held
to.
up this last week, but will it hold up against this Rams pass rush?
This
It's
is
a whole
him
different
playing
ball
for
game.
I just felt
everything.
like
But we will discuss
I mean-
all of that next week when we're talking about the games.
Quickly. I felt like this past week, one player that was a little bit disappointed is Chris Jones. I just felt like he didn't play at the level that I expected him to play at. He got close to sacking Joe Burrow, but in the playoffs, he just
Also,
got
Joe
get
Burrow
pulled back.
is just a very difficult quarterback to bring down because some of those plays,
It doesn't matter how difficult he is. This is a postseason, man. It's go time. If I lay my hands on you, I gotta bring it down. No matter how I do it, I gotta find a way. And he didn't.
Now, one record that I didn't mention so far is if Stafford throws for 315 yards, he has the record for postseason.
Record for what?
Passing yards in a postseason.
Hope he gets it. Who's the current holder?
315. Who do you think the current holder is?
Is it not Tom Brady?
Nope.
Joe Flacco?
Breeze or Joe?
I will. I will.
Brees,
Number 5 is Tom Brady. Number 4 is Tom Brady. Number 3 is Joe Flacco. Number 2 is Kurt Warner. Number 1 is
What, Nick Foles?
Eli Manning. 2011. He has both passing records for reception, for completions, and for yardage.
No, the funny thing is that some of these records, you look at it and you're like, it's not impressive because of the person that has it sometimes.
Yeah, but like you've got to sometimes think about that year that he had, that postseason that he had. He had like if you look at if you take away your preconceptions about how the quarterback is and how his career has been, and we know that from a defensive point of view, he generally got carried to 2 titles, but when he has the record for the most number of yards passed in a postseason, you've got to think actually he did contribute significantly.
Well, the defense was hellacious, so.
Yeah, but normally when a defense is hellacious, you don't need to get so many yards.
Well, he had to because maybe the running game wasn't working. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
He just did what he needed to do. But the thing is, I put it in context, right? So for me, sometimes when I look at records, I put it in context and it's got to make sense to me. Like for instance, like when I look at Calvin Johnson's single season receiving record, right? Is an impressive receiving yards record, is an impressive achievement. But I sometimes feel like if you're getting that many yards,
you're generally not winning. The fact that Cooper
No,
Cup got
not
that many
that,
yards and they got to the playoffs as well.
Here's the thing: Cooper Cup's regular season receiving record this year, I find it more impressive than Calvin Johnson's, who has a record holder. And the reason why I find Cooper Cup's regular season more impressive is because he had 14, 15 touchdowns to go along with it. Calvin had 6 touchdowns that year, I think, or 5. So to me, it's kind of like if you're getting the yards, get a touchdown. If Calvin even had 10 touchdowns or 11 touchdowns that year, yeah, that's impressive to me. Like that's why I always tend to like ding Andre Johnson a little bit because he was an amazing receiver in his prime, and he played for a team that they were a run-based offense and he got a lot of yards. But at the same time, I was like, you're a big guy.
He had five.
So
he had 5 touchdowns in that year.
Exactly. So I was like, yes, team were doubling, but should have been able to get at least 5 more touchdowns in the end zone. You know, I like to have it inconsequential like that to put it into perspective. Like Randy Moss had 23 touchdowns, but he had 1,400 yards, so it kind of makes sense.
Do you want to know a mad stat? What do you think the postseason record for the most number of touchdowns, passing touchdowns, is?
Joe Flacco 11.
Joe Flacco had 11, but he's not the sole holder.
He's also Joe Montana, wasn't it?
Correct. There's 2 more.
Well, 2 more guys? I thought it was just them 2.
There are 4.
Who are the other 2?
Kurt Warner, 2008.
Mm-hmm.
My homeboys last year.
Okay.
See, but here's why I bring my quantitative analysis into it. Joe Flacco had 0 INTs in the postseason. I think Joe Montana also had 0 INTs. Now the other 2 guys, they had INTs.
The really unfortunate thing is the person who is joint 8th on 9 touchdowns only played 2 games.
What, Brady?
This season? No, Josh Allen.
Who was it? Oh, Josh. He didn't go further. So
imagine he had gone further. God, that he would have obliterated that record. Correct?
He probably would have smashed it. But here's the thing. So that's why I put it.
Like he would have gone to 15, I reckon, in my opinion.
Probably, yeah.
Probably. But here's why I put it into perspective. As in, like, yes, records are great, but there has to be some analysis for me personally when I look at these type of records. So up to now, the most impressive single season posted by a quarterback, for me right now, unsurprisingly, is Joe Flacco and Joe Montana. They did it. No INTs, 11 touchdowns. So that's impressive to me. And everyone doubted Joe Flacco, and he proved it.
He's still in the league.
Yeah, he's still in the league. But well, there we have it. This week, breakdown of news, the games. We'll be back next week for a Super Bowl preview. The big game this weekend, obviously, is the Pro Bowl. Not very important. Actually, the Skills Showdown has just started 7 minutes ago. So if anybody wants to have some amusement watching,
I'll have a look at it.
That is that to watch. And
Senior
Bowl is this weekend.
Yeah, I was about to say
that's the fun one in mobile. So tune in on Saturday for that, because the league is nothing without the guys coming through the system. So Senior Bowl this weekend. But aside from that, we'll see you all next week, and we'll say goodbye for now. Goodbye from Will up there.
Over and out, people.
Goodbye from Peter, and we will catch you everybody next week for the Super Bowl